We are here today. This is Line of Sight presented by Keeler. My name's Trevor Donley. In our first iteration of this, we're looking to talk to students of optometry and get their experience on what going into optometry school is like. We have Matt Chu and Jaime Antonio. Jaime, student at Ohio State, and Matt, student at Western University. But just to start off, guys, and Matt, I'll start with you. Where'd you do your undergrad in?
I am a SoCal boy through and through. I did my undergrad at University of California, Irvine. Zot zot to all my anteater family out there. After undergrad, I went straight into optometry school at Western, and I've been in SoCal ever since, except for now, as I'm on my rotations. I'm in the middle of winter here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
And you're in rotations because you're a fourth year?
Fourth year. I'm a fourth year right now. So I got the countdown begins. I have like 5 more months until graduation.
There we go. Congrats to you, man. And Jaime, did you want to kind of give me your backstory a little bit?
Yeah, so I started school at the Bob Cole Conservatory of Music at Cal State Long Beach, which is in Southern California, about 20 minutes south of LA. And yeah, my original career was actually in music, and I was performing out there, doing freelance, playing in churches. And I found optometry and was just captured by the magic at Ohio State and moved out to Columbus, Ohio, which is where I'm calling in from.
Awesome. And did you guys meet in Southern California, or did you guys know each other previous to optometry?
We actually did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys met in like high school? You met?
So we met
undergrad, I think.
Yeah, undergrad through optometry events, and Jaime was the man. If I ever needed something optometry related prior to school, Jaime was the guy to go to. He had all the words of wisdom. I remember I used to be part of the club at UC Irvine, the UC Eyes Optometry Club. Shout out to the plug, whatever that is. But yeah, Jaime used to come to all our events, and it was great getting to connect with him. And he'd always bring a whole force of people to come out with him. So it was awesome getting to know the optometry community before we actually got into optometry school.
Yeah.
Was
that? Yeah. I would imagine that's kind of a helpful transition where if you're trying to choose as you're an undergrad going into optometry, to have those kind of resources to fall back on and just kind of get that background information filled in before you even step foot on a campus for optometry, right?
Yeah, it was wonderful. I know Jaime has more to talk about with it because he was part of a bunch of really great organizations that we kind of collaborated on.
How we met was like back in undergrad when Matt was in undergrad. I had already finished my undergrad, and I was going back to finish my prereqs for optometry school. And so I was working as a licensed optician at the time, and the squad that I brought was actually, it was my boss. It was my doc. Our office, we frequently came into to UCI's pre-optometry club meetings because they were like 15 minutes away from our office. So we would just jet over. We'd usually finish up a little bit early in the office and then head over and kind of just mingle with some pre-optometry students. And, we're always looking for help. And if anybody wanted like a learning opportunity to intern or to work, usually our office was offering that too. So, and then also some of the organizations I was involved with, the Illumination Foundation, which did a lot of vision screenings in Southern California, especially for homeless and just people with unstable housing, people who didn't have access to healthcare, because they did more than just vision screenings. We also did primary care as well. And then also with the Flying Samaritans, which was big in California and Arizona, going down to Baja California, and we did vision screenings and full clinics there as well. So that we were always looking for volunteers and people that we could partner with to bring down there.
Yeah. And I would imagine that's a pretty common thing for all the optometry schools. They have some sort of outreach program that kind of gets down and gets some roots dug in some of the undergrad programs. Is that something you guys have experienced? Like, Jaime, have you experienced that in Ohio State as well?
Yeah, I would say, well, we benefit from being attached to an undergrad organization, institution. So the pre-optometry club actually meets in the College of Optometry, and we have that direct connection with them. Their advisor is actually, full-time staff at the College of Optometry. So we have that benefit. I would say, yes, there is some like pre-optometry linkage between students. One of the big organizations is the American Optometric Student Association, or AOSA. They do a lot of events where they'll go and speak to pre-optometry clubs. And I know like they visited Cal State Fullerton when I was doing my post back there.
Okay, awesome. So from there, Jaime, you kind of settled on Ohio State as the spot that you wanted to go. Did you have a whole bunch of different schools that you were looking at before you decided upon Ohio State, or was it always just going to be Ohio State and you always knew that?
No, I didn't always know that. Actually, even into like the month of March, I didn't even know it. So I had originally I was like in this post-bac program with a bunch of pre-med students. So I was thinking kind of like they were, just shotgun a bunch of applications, apply to like 10 different schools, and then one of them will take me, hopefully. And so I was thinking like, oh yeah, I'm going to look at 10 schools. I'm looking at my top 10. Well, there's only like 25 optometry schools that are accredited, and then 2 of them are in Canada, you know, and one's in Puerto Rico. So it's like, if I wanted to stay on the mainland, you know, like if I hit 10, I'm already hitting half of the schools. It was kind of ridiculous. So my optometrist like kind of dialed me back. He was like, Jaime, you're going to get in, just, you know, find your like top 4 or 5 and, you know, like apply there. If you don't get in, it's rolling admissions. So apply early. If you don't get in, apply to another one further on down the list. But don't just try to like apply to 10 at once.
Yeah.
That's totally unnecessary. So yeah, I applied to 4 schools, kind of like Northeast, Southwest. I applied to Southern California College of Optometry, University of Houston, NECO, and Ohio State. And so I kind of got like my 4 coordinates across the state.
Yeah, you did. You covered your bases.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. And I heard back all of them, which was awesome. I got into all of them, and I was accepted to all of them. So, you know, my doc was right. I didn't need to apply to all the time. But, yeah.
Well, Matt, so was that process kind of the same for you? Were you picking based off of region? Were you like kind of scattering around, or you always knew?
So that's a great question. So my heart was always set in Southern California, but of course I had, you know, that adventurous soul that was like, you know, let's try to look at what else we have across the country as well as in Canada and Puerto Rico as well. For me, I applied to, I believe, 5 programs. I had interviews at all 5, but once I found out that I had Western on lock, I deferred all those interviews because I said I'm gonna stay home in Southern California. And so looking back to it, I'm very grateful and thankful I had all 5. But I am definitely happy with the choice I made, and I would not change it for anything.
Awesome. So, all right, you guys have now been accepted into optometry school. You've both made your decision. You know where you want to go. Your weeks leading up to optometry school, was there anything that like prep work or anything like that got thrown at you that you weren't ready for, or were you guys both pretty much prepared for getting your feet on the ground when you got to optometry school?
I think for my experience, I was kind of lucky. So at Western University, we have a great program for students who want to get their feet wet, who are accepted into the program, any program. So Western University of Health Sciences is a large medical campus. We have a lot of different medical professions. So they do a summer program called Spark, which allows you basically to get your feet wet in graduate education, take some really basic anatomy classes, as well as just get into interprofessional education, which is what our university is all about. I, for one, chose to defer and not take that optional course because I was coming straight out of college and I wanted a break. And I was like, my brain is still functioning high. I did not take any breaks. So I need one summer to just hang out, enjoy my time, because I know that grad school was going to take all my energy and all my time. So I just wanted a summer to hang out with the boys, you know? And
There
so
you go.
I definitely, leading up to optometry school, I was ready, I was prepared. And I think Western has great options, as well as I know a lot of other schools have that option too, where you can get your feet wet before you actually dive right into courses.
Yeah. Jaime, I feel like I already know the answer for you since you were doing the outreach programs, you were working as an optician. I would imagine a lot of that base level, you know, of what you were going to get into was already there. Was there anything that caught you by surprise of just like in the weeks leading up before you got to optometry school, or were you just like, I'm ready to go. Let's do this thing.
Yeah, I say the weeks leading up, actually. So I was moving from Southern California to Ohio. I decided to take about 2.5 weeks of a road trip. And so I was like break mindset all the way up until like the day before orientation. And I will say that there were definitely some things that we did over break. So over that summer, we were assigned like a summer reading like a book just to think about, and it talked about a lot of like immigration and socioeconomic status and cultural differences that might expose like a very Western bias to our medicine and our health program in the United States, and just kind of seeing like how that can affect different groups of people. So we had to read that book, and then I finished that before my 2-week trip.
The trip was for fun. You didn't want to be thinking about it on the trip.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know, I will say though that I did listen back to some chapters like on audiobook because it was on audiobook. That was
Oh,
some
nice.
of the, during those long trips, you know, like drives through like Kansas. And,
Yeah, yeah. When the conversation is kind of lulled. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But yeah, so I would say for the most part though, like I felt like I could jump right into an optics class and like I felt very comfortable. That was my zone. But the part that caught me off guard was definitely one, the level of like physiology. I think I was not prepared for that. I took like one physiology course as prereqs, right? And yeah, we got microbiology and biochemistry, but it didn't hit like all the systems of the body that we hit at the level of detail. And so that really took me off guard when I got into classes.
Okay. The next step, I guess, in the process is you guys are now physically at the school, right? Your first week, I know from my experience going to these optometry schools and doing the presentations for the students, I see a lot of wide eyes and frantic looking faces, right? It sounds like the two of you were more or less prepared, but I know for a lot of people that orientation week can be really stressful. Was there something that you guys did to manage that stress level? Was there anything that like you really worked for you to manage how you dealt with the stress of all the different information being thrown at you?
Yeah, definitely.
Go for it,
So
Jaime.
I think part of it was I already knew like the ways that I like to relax and de-stress, the ways that I usually wound down from work, and the ways that like I dealt with stress in the post-bac program. A lot of it was like going to see live music, really socializing. Like that was a big thing, establishing like a really close group of people that I trusted. That like we just lived life together. You know, we'd eat meals together, cook together, you know, just go to various events and stuff like that. And one thing that really set us up, I think, and a lot of optometry programs do this, they have like a big sib, little sib thing where like the year above has like a little mentee. And then, so the first year, like they're completely lost. They always have like a one person to latch onto. And I was lucky, man. My big Frankie was like, he's from the same area, like the Southwest. And so automatically we clicked. He loves to travel, he loves food, loves working out. And it was like all these things that I love to do. He's a very social person too. So it was easy. He just like brought me into his circle of friends. And that became like my anchor until I established that in my class. And that I thought that was like one huge thing. We went out to like second week of school. I think we went to like a wine festival together. Quickly learned that we liked
Yeah, nice.
so yeah, we're playing like a ton of Catan. I don't know if you guys play
Oh
Catan.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
I got you
So
on that. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
we probably play
You
like
play
at
that,
least
Matt?
2 weeks or so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of
so
course.
yeah. So we'll nerd out about that stuff. But yeah, I think establishing that network of people was like huge for me as far as dealing with and adjusting to that pace and even the new environment. You know, everybody was way younger than me. I
Yeah.
was like so surprised. Everybody was like, well, I think we had two people that hadn't even turned 21 the first day of school. So it was weird to like think back, like, wow, like 6 years ago, like 7 years ago. What was I think? What was I like? You know, 7 years ago. Can I relate to them?
But they wouldn't have got to go to the wine festival, so
I know.
That's right.
win for you. You did the right thing,
I
Yeah.
know.
obviously.
I think, yeah, going off what Jaime said, I think similarly, um, the first month of school is definitely the hardest because you have to adjust to being in grad school again. But it's like the most fun because your adrenaline's rushing, you're wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, you're ready to go. You go to every class because it's the first month, so go to every class. And
Wait, are you saying that you stopped going to some
I
classes,
mean,
Matt?
I'm just saying that I was in
I'm
every
just
class,
kidding, I'm just
but I
kidding.
don't know if I
Yeah,
was
coronavirus happened. Coronavirus
mentally
happened
in
where
every
you
class,
couldn't go physically, right?
physically in every class,
I
mentally,
see, I see.
you know, we'll see about that. But I think for me, definitely, going off what Jaime said, yes, we also have a big little program. And I was very fortunate because my big Lynn was awesome. She definitely reached out and tried to give me all the like 411 on how school worked. I was also very blessed going to a school in SoCal because I had a bunch of my peers who were the year above me who I knew from undergrad or who I knew from a different life that we just connected really well. And yeah, I think one thing that definitely was kind of like a double-edged sword for me was the fact that I did stay in SoCal, so all my friends are in SoCal. So given that you start in August, it's the end of summer, and all your friends want to do is hang out, go to the beer gardens, watch live shows. So I definitely will say that was a hard adjustment, learning how to say no to your friends when all you want to do is just kick it with them as the summer winds down. But it definitely is a great experience. You learn a lot during that first month. The first month, honestly, too, as a cohort, you truly bond with each other because you are all in it together, and you find that out after the first quiz and you're like, what just happened? Let's all go commiserate and celebrate together at the local, watering hole. Shout out to Metro in Pomona, California for always providing us very stiff and great drinks. But yeah, we definitely, after the first month, we had a lot of great jokes, and we used to always say how like the first month of optometry school feels like almost like 4 years of undergrad because you build those what feels like lifelong connections in 4 months, and it feels like you know each other like it's if you grew up with each other. It's quite wild, but it's awesome in that manner.
Now, Matt, you go to a school that has, and correct me, but it's like 90 to 100 students. Is that right? Per class? Somewhere around that,
Per
right?
class, yeah, so it ranges. So typically, more recently, it's been about 80 to 90 per
Yeah.
class. So even though for optometry schools, I think it ranges and it varies. I think Jaime, Ohio State's about 40. You guys 40 or 50, I
Oh,
think.
no, we're typically about, like, between 65 and
I
70.
was gonna say
Oh, I was
60-ish,
wrong.
yeah.
Mhm.
Double what I said, but
Yeah.
I
basically
think, like,
given
Michigan's, like, one of those, though, that's, like, around 40.
Yeah,
yeah.
for
We're
sure.
that small, yeah.
But
So
to go along with that is
yeah.
that with that larger class, you're talking about this really tight-knit feeling.
Mhm.
Obviously, in an undergrad program, there's so many more people
Oh, yeah.
involved in the undergrad program. I would imagine it's kind of nice to whittle it down to some, that group that has at least one similar interest as you, which is optometry. And it's maybe easier to be able to like start to figure out who you're going to be spending a lot of time with. Is that the case? Or, do
Oh,
people kind
yeah.
of split off and do their
It
own thing?
It is in a sense. Well, at Western, what I guess is we call it forced friendship, but it's when we first get into school, we're divided into houses. It's a lot like Harry Potter. So we're sorted into these houses, and honestly, no one knows how we're sorted, except for our wonderful dean. And we're sorted into these houses, about 20 students each, so it's an even number. And these are our lab groups for our first year. And basically, we spent almost like 8 hours a week, like purposefully with each other the first semester. So it's a great experience to get to know each other and get to, start off with 19 other friends, doing the same thing. And like you said, given 80 people in a class, it's a lot less than undergrad, but having that commonality of going through optometry school together really brought us, like, unified us as one.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure Dr. Hoppy has some kind of magical method.
Oh, yeah.
Not maybe
Oh, yeah,
sorting
for
hat,
sure.
but
She
something
may have a
similar.
sorting hat.
She might.
I
I
wouldn't
would
put it against her. She
would
may.
not put it past her, absolutely not. Jaime, for you, having come out of the area, did you have kind of a similar experience where everyone felt really tight knit? You obviously had a really good relationship with your big, but were you able to pretty quickly establish who you were going to be spending a lot of time with, and was it majority of people coming from close areas where you came from California? Did that make it tough at all?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there's only about, I think, 3 of us from the Southwest. There's, like, me and then 2 people from, like, the Vegas area. Um, so there really wasn't somebody that I could latch onto in my class that was of the similar age group, ethnicity, like, cultural identity. or like regional identity. So a lot of us coming from big cities had very similar experiences coming to Columbus or the Midwest and feeling like, where are all those things that we were used to seeing and having at our disposal and at our fingertips? And, we sought out those things together, which was really fun. Like, where is the best pho place, if there is one,
That's
in
important.
Columbus?
That's
What's
important.
the best like boba place? Like, where can I get good sushi, fresh fish? Like, where are the tacos? That's what the question
That's
was. Somebody
important.
said, yeah, there's a place out here called Condados, and it's like $4 a taco. I was like, no, I want like my $2, just like meat, onion, cilantro, like that's it. Like, where's that? Like, even like $1.50 on Taco Tuesday. Like, come on now. So it was a lot of fun in that we were looking for those things together. Yeah, like some people from Dallas, from Phoenix, New York, even like some of the, a lot of our classmates are all intellectually curious people by nature, So I think, asking classmates if they wanted to join us, that was really easy to do. And I have still yet to meet like a somebody that I didn't connect with over caffeine, like any mode, tea, coffee, Columbus has a really big coffee scene. So that was one thing that we all went in on. There's like this like coffee port that you can go to, like forces you to go all these cafes around town and try out their coffee, try out, buy something from there. And so we were trying to do that together as a class. And that was definitely something that made it fairly easy for us to connect with. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got you. You've now kind of established your whereabouts, right? And you touched on you struggled with the physiology classes, right? And that was something that got way more in depth than you thought it was going to, because you're going to optometry. You're like, I'm going to learn about eyes and I'm going to learn about what I already. But was there, along with that physiology, there's a lot of topics that get touched on to make sure that you're having an all. I don't want to say all seeing because that's a lame pun, but an all-encompassing
Yeah.
kind of education around a health major.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we
Matt,
do,
did you have
anatomy.
one like what Jaime talked about, where you were like, oh man, I didn't even think we were gonna have to learn about this?
Yeah. We had to take a course on microbiology and immunology, and I will never forget the depth that they went into going into cell structures and reading histology slides, and the whole time we sat there. So it is one of our interprofessional courses, so we take it with the dental students.
Okay.
And I would just remember that we were sitting there and we were like, it was so funny because I think that's something that bonded like our optometry cohort with the dental cohort, because we both sat there wondering, how does this affect the eyes? How does this affect the mouth? Like, why do we need to, when are we ever going to do this? And it was one of those courses that was definitely very challenging, but it had some good tidbits. But it's definitely been, I guess, revamped to where it is now. So they've made it more towards the eye related sense in our case. Actually, to my knowledge, they don't even have to take that course when you come into school anymore. So I know you guys
You
don't
should
know
have
the
done what
pain.
Jaime did.
I
Do
know.
the optician thing. Come in
I
later. You don't have to take
know.
the
I
microbiology.
know.
It sounds more and more like you made the right call, I gotta say.
You did, Jaime. You made the right call, man.
A lot longer journey, I'll tell you that, man. If if you want to do those few years, yeah.
Are there a lot of classes where you guys are sharing a classroom with another, another healthcare professional, soon to be?
For us, our first 2 years we had an interprofessional education course where we would go like just connect with each other. Honestly, it is a great experience to meet people from other professions. I was very blessed to have a very awesome group. So I basically made a bunch of friends in other healthcare professions, and we chat still to this day about different things we see, different things we do. We have a Facebook group and we always post cool stuff on it. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
All right, great. All right, so outside of that, there's kind of different approaches to how you guys started actually practicing the techniques that we're going to go into, being used with a patient, right? Jaime in Ohio State, you guys get a whole bunch of equipment all at once, and Matt, you guys kind of separated out a couple of different buying groups, right? Does any of that go into how you guys then approach the technique or the use of that equipment?
Yeah. So I think all of our as using our equipment and stuff, that doesn't start happening until like fall of our second year. So
Okay.
that first semester back after our summer break. So but I was here all summer, and so were the third years then. So I kind of try to see if how much I could pick up from them practicing, and also from like in practice. I was working at a optometry practice here over summer. How much could I pick up that was there? I'd always bring my stuff with me, just in case there was an opportunity to use it. And so that was kind of how I ended up learning. And then once those classes opened up, we had those labs in fall. I took every opportunity to go in, even if it was like, we have these BIO simulators and stuff like that. Like, if I knew that a class was pre-recorded or recorded, and I didn't necessarily have to be there because like attendance wasn't taken, I would take the opportunity to go to the lab because I knew nobody else was going to be there, and I could just practice virtually, hands on something, and work through those things without having the pressure of somebody else looking at me and judging me, whether or not I was good or bad. So that's kind of how I approached it. And then, I think our class was really good about trying to see eyes of all different people, not just like seeing the same person over and over again. So a lot of times during like that 10-minute break between classes, we would hit each other up and be like, hey, like, what are you doing after, like, right before lunch? You want to go grab, some dilating drops and head upstairs to the pre-lab. And it was just kind of like this one semester of us cramming as many tropicamide drops into our eyes as could, and just like we're all walking around like we were presbyopes because we had like 250s readers, and just really dilated all the time, like afraid of the light. And that was kind of how we did it at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, similarly to us. Yeah, so as Trevor was saying, we get our equipment kind of separate. So our first year, second semester is when we start going into diagnostic kits. We actually, as a university, have a choice between diagnostic kits, whether it be between Keeler, Heine, or Welsh Allen. I don't know too much since it's been a couple years. I don't know if anything's changed, so this may be outdated information. But to my knowledge, this is the information that I got. But yeah, so for me, we started learning retinoscopy that second semester of first year. So we were always encouraged to try each company's instrument to see which one we like the best. And I know this is a Keeler podcast, so I'll plug Keeler, but I personally like the Keeler because for me,
like a leading question.
I like the ease of access, but all the equipment's great. They all get the job done, and at the end of the day, we just want to provide the best healthcare we can to each patient. For me, it just happened to be with Keeler that I felt the most comfortable, ease of use, and stuff like that. Going into our second years when we start using the BIOs as well as the different other tools. And so with the BIO, again, we had a choice between Keeler and Heine only, not the Welsh Allen BIO. And with BIO, same thing. We were always encouraged to try both products and to see which best fit us. We were always told that there was no right, which is true. There is no right between the two. Both products get the job done. It's just basically patient choice. It's literally dependent on who you are. And I too got the Keeler BIO because I'm loyal. I'm a loyalist. But no, I think for me it was just, again, ease of access, and I feel very comfortable with it. I know a lot of people think I'm crazy because I'm like, no, for me it's like I can easily use this. I don't need to worry about anything else. I'm sure I could learn how to use a Heine in the same fashion. It's just for me, I latch onto something quick, and if it's easy, what's the saying? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try anything else. But yeah, we always did the same. We practiced. A lot of times we learned that monovision is the best answer, so we dilate one eye only,
Yeah.
and then we'd try to get through the rest of the day with one eye dilated. But yeah, we did the best we could, and I remember a lot of days of that tropicamide. And I remember in the beginning too, we would always do the full combo of fennel and tropicamide, and we'd regret it for the rest of the night because it'd be really terrible. And then one day we were like, we're good enough now where we can get the job done with just tropicamide. and then we started doing tropicamide only.
And that was a
Yeah,
great day.
yeah, that was the best day ever when I could start studying like 2 hours sooner. It was beautiful,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Wait, to prove that wasn't a leading question, I know that Jaime has Heine equipment. All right. So I
Yes.
wasn't throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Wasn't trying to, I wasn't doing the thing. But so you guys then progress, right? Where you're working with your fellow students to, work with each other to adapt and hone that technique. And then I would imagine alongside of that, are you having classes about, your bedside manner, so to speak, and how you're going through the process of an evaluation alongside that technique, or does that kind of come later?
For us, it's mixed in. So we learn
Okay.
technique, but we also learn that bedside manner in a sense of just they give us a rough outline of how we should be, and then as you know, every doctor is their own version of their best self. So then we just run with it, we go with it, and we try our best to make the best out of every situation. I think for us too, that second year of second semester is when we enter clinical care in a sense of like full on like patient encounters from start to beginning. And so it's a really great experience because we get to like put these techniques that we practice to use. And of
Yeah.
course, when we start, it's like very rocky. Like it is very, very shaky. And you have those moments of like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to pretend like I know what I'm doing so that the patient believes me because the patient has to believe me. And then I'm going to like scamper back to my preceptor and be like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm going to need you to go check this out. And so definitely it's a feeling of, getting those reps in. But once you get there, it becomes easier and you start to like gain more confidence. And then when you gain confidence, everything just starts to like fall into place.
Fake it till you make it exists everywhere, guys.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not,
That's
yeah.
100% the motto I
Oh
still live
yeah,
by.
man. That's one thing I learned from my past career. Like it is that like you're on stage 100% of the time, and you got stage face, and then you got backstage face, and man, like you just got to learn. Fake it till you make it.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Backstage face is panicking. Yeah.
Yep.
Jaime, I would imagine that your experience having come from a field where you were already having a lot of patient interaction, did that kind of just come very naturally to you then as those things are being introduced, where you felt, even though maybe the process and the whole, all the information that goes behind, doing a diagnosis and going through an evaluation is there, it may not be there yet, I should say. The actual interactions that you're having kind of felt second nature to you?
yeah, I think that also just plays in like my personality. I really like
Sure.
interacting with people and being social. And so, I mean, like once you figure that out, you just got to remember that a patient in front of you isn't just two eyes. It's not just a medical chart. It's not a series of questions. Like they're a person too. So if you could ask your mom or your dad, like, how's your stomach feeling, or how was that toothache that you had 2 weeks ago, like the dentist appointment go okay, then you could do the rest of the like case history and stuff like that with a patient. So that's how I always approached it, and that's how I continue to approach it and I think that is like what helped makes that natural transition. But definitely like with the questions, like the clinical questions, diagnostic questions, the way that you think through that, we had a really awesome optometric examination teacher who taught us like the steps from and working through these diagnosis questions. And the way we practiced it wasn't necessarily that we had somebody tutor us, but he just had open-ended questions. He's like, all right, patient comes in, he's got a red eye, says, oh man, like it bothers me, it's itching, it started itching like yesterday, and like the more I rub it, the itchier it gets. He's like, all right, doctor. And he'd always like, ask us, he's like, what do you want to know? And so that put us on spot of like asking the questions. It's like, rather than being like, oh well, I want to know like how long it's been, he's like, okay, so then what would you ask the patient? I'm your patient, ask me, what do you want to know? How long has it been? Oh, it's
Yeah.
been a day.
Throws you into kind of like a role playing back and forth as opposed to like
Yeah, exactly.
teacher student.
Yeah, yeah. But I think that really helped us out. Once we got to clinic, we were like, oh yeah, I remember that one time Dr. Nixon was like quizzing us on that, and he said it this way. So that was a big part for us in transitioning in. And then, once we got in the clinic, we have them attending, and usually they encourage us to say like all the patient education stuff when they're in the room, so that we can hear how we're phrasing words, if we're using terms that are too clinical, too medicalese, maybe like not well understood by patients, and then they can give us that feedback after the patient leaves and behind closed doors. But yeah, like that's kind of like how it's built into our program.
Okay, I got you. So moving forward, you now have gotten some clinic experience. You guys have built this knowledge up around optometry. You're feeling really solid about your skills, and you're taking exam part 1 of the boards at that point in your second, third year in there.
Yeah, so usually
Spring
it's
third
taken
year.
in March of your third year.
Okay. And that's the writing portion as well, right? So that's just a larger test format of what you guys are dealing with on the day to day while being in school.
hmm
All right. And
Yeah.
then from there, you guys are moving away from a classroom setting, right? You're mostly going into just being in a clinic, being with patients, and like we just talked about, having that back and forth and establishing that kind of bedside manner.
Yes, sir. Yep,
No.
that's exactly how it works.
That's kind of taken us through up to where you guys are now, I think, right?
hmm
And now you
Yeah.
guys are at the precipice of getting to the end of your school career. What kind of things are you guys doing to like look into your next step, or where you would like to end up professionally?
For me, given that my timetable is a little shorter than Jaime's, he's got a little more time than I to go over some stuff. My career path has changed just a little bit. Entering school, I was always just gonna get in, get out, go to work, and then I actually found a part of optometry that I fell in love with. I'm actually going to pursue a residency in low vision. For those who don't know what low vision is, basically, it's for patients who have significant visual loss, and what we do is we give them different tools and different therapies, training. We refer them to different specialists to help them basically use their vision to the maximum capability that they can for the remainder of their lifetime. And so I will be pursuing a residency in that. Starting into school, I never thought I would, but now that I've found the joy of it, I'm gonna go try to pursue that in my next year. And then after that, I'll probably, hopefully, open a couple more doors and look into different jobs that I can find on the SoCal market, given that we're a very dense population of optometrists out there.
For sure, for sure. And Jaime, even with a little bit more time on the board, or how did you phrase it, Matt? A little bit more time to
Yeah, just a
get
little
to
more
the,
time.
a little bit more time. Is there any kind of like inkling of where you would eventually want to see yourself, or is that still far
Yeah.
off in the distance?
Yeah, no. Well, so the primary reason why I switched careers was because I really saw a need for vision care just outside the United States. And there was some wicked statistic. It was like in in the United States and the UK, there's like maybe one eye care professional per like 3,000, 5,000 people. And so it's like, okay, that's still a lot of people. Like you got 5,000 people come through your practice. That's a lot. Um, but in other parts of the world, it's like 1 to millions of people. And so one thing that I want to do is just be in a place that has access to travel to go to places where I could be giving that vision care to people who don't have access to it, who don't have typical access to an eye care provider, and try to increase the number of providers that are available to people who normally wouldn't have it. So, like typically that puts me next to a big city that has some sort of airport with international travel available, or a big city that can kind of like I could take connecting flights to get to some place that would. So I'm comfortable in Columbus where I'm at right now. But even possibly living in a country right after graduation. I've had some opportunities that were given to me. I don't know if they're going to still be open when I graduate, but other countries potentially that I could see myself out there.
Are those kind of opportunities things that you found through SFOSH?
Actually, no. Yeah, I really thought going into school, because I organized clinics in Baja California for SVOSH at Western and SCCO. I thought that would be like the primary place where I would find these opportunities, but they actually come through really through colleagues or through other clubs like the Fellowship of Christian Optometrists, doing mission trips down in Jamaica, doing mission trips down in South America, Central America. and there's this gigantic global missions health conference that ties in all of the disciplines, health disciplines. So not just optometry, but they have medicine, they have pharm, they have dental, and they, PAs, nurses come together and they talk about global missions first, and then like where do you fit in with your health profession. And so those are ways that I kind of learned about how it works outside the United States.
Okay. Matt, did you like take part in any of the SBOSH stuff, or did you do any of those kind of trips?
I did not do any of those. I was mainly like local. I
Yeah.
love doing local volunteer work around the area because for me, my biggest thing was given the opportunity, I would have loved to go travel outside the country to do missionary work that way. But I always felt that the need of doing local ministry as well and local mission work was also great. We did a lot of work with like Skid Row. We have um, a huge like multifaceted healthcare, uh, free healthcare thing in Los Angeles called Care Harbor that we do twice a year, which is amazing. Gives access to like dental, optometry, like physical checkups to basically those in need of them. So most of the stuff that I did was just very local in that sense.
It's kind of a nice dichotomy though, right? We got Jaime going out to some different places, Matt establishing that foundation, SoCal. It's obviously been a pleasure getting to know you guys. I just want to let you both know that I really appreciate you guys coming on and kind of sharing your experience and what the path has kind of set forth for you and how it's progressed along.
I just want to say thank you, Trevor, for like inviting me, as well as Jaime for letting me know about this. I think it's a great way to get the message across to those interested in optometry, as well as those younger than me that are in optometry school that want a little peek into what the future has in store. I think honestly, the best advice I can give to the future generations is that just have fun, get your work done, as it said. Was it work hard, play harder, sort of thing. Have a good time, but definitely soak it in. Don't take those moments for granted, whether it be going to class or just hanging out, grabbing a bite, like Jaime said, trying to find the best taco spot. Definitely take those advantages, take them, soak them in, and just, make those memories because they go by quick.
Man, I don't think I could have said anything better than the way that Matt said it. You just go out with a bang. Let's just do that.
Well, awesome, guys. We're going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys, Jaime, Matt, for your time.
Yeah,
really appreciate it.